Hello everybody and welcome to the Let's Talk Sport race watch along for the USA Grand Prix. Now this is a very late one in the UK. It is coming up to 8 o'clock and it is 8 o'clock start here in the UK. Thank you very much everybody who will be joining us for this, and what an exciting race hopefully we have on the cards. Max Verstappen is on pole, Lewis Hamilton is second. Are we going to see an incident going into the first turn? We have seen so many incidents between the pair of them. The rivalry heated up as it's gone on through the season. We've seen them crash in the British Grand Prix. We've seen an incident at Monza at the Italian Grand Prix. Both of them have been really wanting to win this championship, of course. So it is going to be interesting. Both of them 1-2 going into this first turn, and it is a wide first turn as well. So it could be some room between the two drivers. But if you're Sergio Perez, and I can see already in the chat, Rocky Does It All has already said Max and Lewis could smash, and that'll be Checo for the win. It is a possibility. If you're starting in third place, if you're Sergio Perez, even if you're the two Ferraris and the McLarens, there's an opportunity if Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton do collide on lap one. It will be interesting. I think if you are either one of them drivers, surely you have to finish this race. You have to get them points because there's only a gap of 6 points and there's only 6 races left of this season, so it will be a really interesting race this, so stay tuned for it. Of course we've obviously got the starting grid on the screen as well, as hopefully we'll also have the driver tracker as they're going around on the circuit to hopefully help as well. Don't forget, of course, this is the first live stream that I'm doing as well since we've worked alongside Manscaped as well, so of course there's the code on the screen as well there. Let's Talk Sport for 20% off, all in capital letters, so of course do look at that as well. But we're just going to go through the starting grid in a minute as well. Of course, like I said, Max Verstappen is starting on pole. Sean Savage has gone Lewis on the start. Like I said, this is absolutely. I have absolutely no idea what is going to happen in this race. This is so interesting. The drivers have absolutely loved being at the US Grand Prix. Haven't had one in the last couple of years. It's great to be back. Everything looks great. The turnout, the attendance is absolutely huge as well. So yeah, very high elevation changes as well. A lot of talk has been about the actual bumps on the track. I know in terms of what's going to happen for next year, they're going to do the actual tarmac again before the next race next year, and of course MotoGP had issues with it earlier on in the season, so that is going to be an issue. But I think more in terms of like the damaged F1 drivers and the actual cars should be fine, although we did see Red Bull trying to sort out the rear wing of Max Verstappen's car yesterday. But yeah, let's see what happens. Please let me know, keep the comments coming during the race. It's great to have everybody joining us, and obviously let me know your thoughts as the race goes on. It is my solo race watch along as well, so it'd be great to have you all alongside me as well. But yeah, like I said, Carlos Sainz as well, if I go on to that quickly before the starting grid, Carlos Sainz is the only one on the soft compound tyre as well, so we're expecting a 2-stop strategy. So Carlos Sainz will be hoping to try and get as far as he can in the grid order before he obviously has to pit before the rest of them. But let's go through the grid order. So like I said, Max Verstappen is starting on pole position with Lewis Hamilton in second place. We really don't know what's going to happen going into that first lap. Sergio Perez in third place, like stated as well. Great qualifying from him yesterday. And Charles Leclerc in fourth, with Carlos Sainz, like I said, starting on the soft tyre in fifth. Daniel Ricciardo starts ahead of Lando Norris. He's sixth, Norris seventh. Pierre Gasly in eighth, and he had an issue on the grid with a possible power unit, but they seem to have sorted that out. Valtteri Bottas with his penalty is in 9th, with Yuki Tsunoda in 10th. Another good qualifying for him. Esteban Ocon in 11th place with Antonio Giovinazzi in 12th. Another good qualifying for Antonio. Lance Stroll in 13th with Nicholas Latifi in 14th. Kimi Raikkonen 15th. Mick Schumacher is in 16th. And now don't forget, we've had a lot of grid penalties with these Mercedes power units as well. Nikita Mazepin in 17th. Vettel is in 18th because he started higher. Fernando Alonso is in 19th. And George Russell is starting at the back of the grid. We've already heard him say before the race start that he's going to go fully send it mode, and it's great to see Vettel, Alonso and George Russell alongside each other at the back of the grid, because that's also a tasty one to look out for as well. Looking at a couple of comments, knowing Max, he will do anything possible to run Lewis wide. Well, that is a great comment as well, because go back to was it 2015 I think, when Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton had that, and Lewis pushed Nico off the track, which I know Nico didn't like at all, and that's something that we could see as well. I mean, look, I'm not obviously I am obviously trying to hype this up up being on my own, and obviously having you all joining me, from the watch along. But this is hopefully going to be a really exciting race, and especially the first lap as well. Apologies if I have to cough throughout this as well. I'll try and turn the mic off when I do, but I have had a bit of a cold, and it's turning into a bit of a tickly cough as well, so I do apologise in advance. I'll try and turn the mic off when I feel it's coming, but yeah, absolutely. I absolutely can't wait for this. So, like I said, Carlos Sainz is the only one starting on that soft compound tyre. So, hopefully the softs give him enough to maybe overtake his teammate Charles Leclerc, and maybe even go for Sergio Perez as well, because he won't be on the track long before he has to make his first stop. So, it'll be interesting. Obviously, like I said, two-stop strategy. It's only Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda that is on the soft compound tyres. Quick mention for Yuki Tsunoda as well. Really good job recently, and obviously his driver coach has been Alex Albon, who himself has been working already alongside Williams for next year. So like I said, let me know your comments as the race goes along. It will be really interesting to see how this race goes as they now go on to the formation lap. So Carlos Sainz looks, in terms of it looks like the pit stops, the strategies they're coming up with is that they're all going to go on to the hard compound tyre, and even for the two stops, both tyres are going to be the hard compound tyre. So it looks like the soft's only going to go to lap 10, but it says the medium's only to lap 12. I'll be very surprised if it's only a 2-lap difference between the soft compound tyre and the medium compound tyre. So yeah, look out for that as well. I'll obviously try and keep the information going as well. Of course, if this is the first time you're joining us on the Let's Talk Sport YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. It really does mean a lot. I do have a sister channel as well called the Pole Position Podcast YouTube channel. I will, of course, be doing some videos on this as well. Especially if it's a very juicy one. There's a lot of news to discuss. That'll definitely be the case. But yeah, like I said, there's only 6 points between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. How will it fare at the end of this race? And even for Red Bull and Mercedes as well, it's pretty close in the Constructors' Championship as well. And of course, going back from that, same with McLaren and Ferrari, pretty close between them as well. McLaren 240, Ferrari 232, I think, and a half. Obviously, the half points from the Belgian Grand Prix. But absolutely great spectacle at the Circuit of Americas. I think it gets better every time as well. Like I said, the drivers come in here as well. But, if you look at the previous winners, Valtteri Bottas in 2019, Kimi Raikkonen got his victory in 2018, and then 17, 15, and 14 recently have all been Lewis Hamilton. It is great to see more races in the Americas, and obviously a fan base in the Americas as well. Obviously, we've got the Miami Grand Prix next year, and even talk of Las Vegas in 2023. But of course, that is just talk at the moment. But as the main drivers, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Perez, go on to the start-finish straight, this will be an interesting one. Will the drivers at the back, and of course, like I said, that is Vettel, Alonso, and George Russell, they will be going as slow as possible to make sure that Verstappen and Hamilton stay on the grid a little bit longer. Might have to be drinking a lot with this sore throat and cold, with me being the only one that's talking on this the stream. But like I said, let me know in the comments on the race watch along as well. Like I said, it's great to have people watching. So I've obviously got the who will win the USA Grand Prix. I will end that poll in I'd say the first couple of laps or so, just see how it goes. I don't know if the lap count's actually on it this time around, but I'll try and obviously keep you up to date in terms of the lap board as we go along. As we see George Russell coming along now, obviously he is the last car with that grid penalty for the engine changes. Obviously Mercedes have been a little bit worried and concerned about their reliability as we're getting into these last stages. It was once again Valtteri Bottas taking another engine. So George Russell taking his time, as I thought he would do. Let's have a look. Everything looks good. And that's lights out. Let's see how it goes. Lewis Hamilton's got a really good start against Max Verstappen. Max has gone really close to them. Oh, that's really close. Lewis Hamilton. Ooh. And Hamilton has done just what he did against Rosberg. It looks like he's pushed Verstappen wide. Sergio Perez looks like he's getting past Max Verstappen as well. Will that be? He looks like he's yielded. I think he's already been told on the radio, or he's had the discussion post or before the race to say, please don't get past Max Verstappen. But that was really close. Lewis did exactly what he did against Nico Rosberg, pushed Max Verstappen wide. Verstappen had to go off the track. Jamie Davis, thanks for joining us. Sergio Perez, yeah, he almost overtook Max Verstappen. I feel like he could hear Christian Horner in his ear say, do not overtake Verstappen. He must have been told by that. But as we can see, Carlos Sainz has not got past Charles Leclerc as well. And like I said, he'll be wanting to get up the road on them soft compound tyres. It looks like actually he's going to be overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo is getting the slipstream here. Lando Norris is just behind him. That medium compound tyre for Daniel Ricciardo is looking good. Whoa, both McLarens are going through. It looks like Daniel Ricciardo actually had the wrong defensive manoeuvre, but actually Carlos Sainz has managed to get the position back. So both Norris and Ricciardo, who look like they got past Carlos Sainz, have actually gone back to the positions that they were. That was fantastic racing, really was. Great defending manoeuvre from Carlos Sainz. But it is really weird considering he's on the soft can tyre. As who is that that's going all the way around the outside? We've seen Max Verstappen do that in the past, going into 16, 17 and 18. But I think that was Daniel Ricciardo, was it, who made that move? Yes, it was. As Lando Norris runs really wide. Valtteri Bottas is still in 9th position. Gasly's dropped down a couple of places. Tsunoda is up into 8th place. It looks like George Russell's up to 14th position. Vettel's up to 15th. Alonso 16th. So George Russell has had a fantastic start. Mazepin's at the back. I'm expecting he's probably spun by now. But I haven't had a replay as we go on to lap 2. But yeah, Bottas is really struggling to get past. There was a yellow flag actually. So Mazepin's gone all the way to the back. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have seen a spin from him already. But wow, yeah, so we're on to lap 2. No actual crash right now, so yeah, I'm a bit of a surprise in that. I thought they would hit each other going into turn 1, but very respectful. So everything looks good so far. Great manoeuvre from Sergio Perez. Like I said, Jamie's put Perez in there, almost took the lead. But as Rocky Does It All says, team orders suck. I agree, because I feel like Sergio Perez probably could have made that move stick, but of course it is Max Verstappen who's higher in the championship, and with only 6 races to go, as much as Perez will want to win this race, you know that Red Bull can't afford to have Perez in front of Max Verstappen when Lewis is already in the lead. So annoyingly, as much as it does suck, that is what it is, I suppose. Greg's gone. Hi Jack. Hi Greg. Hope you're all well. I think Perez will try anything to stop Lewis to help Max increase the Drivers' Championship, and I think exactly that's what they wanted to do. Team Radio. Sliding a lot, I think, Max Verstappen, in terms of trying to get. So I've got the headphones in for the actual race this time around. So hopefully I'll try and get the team radios as they go along. So Max Verstappen's got the fastest lap so far. He is keeping up with Lewis Hamilton, so it's just under a second still with 3 laps down. Sergio Perez is about 3 seconds behind the pair of them, with Charles Leclerc about 5.5 seconds as well. So the gap between the top 2 and the rest of it has already made a big gap. If we look at where Valtteri Bottas is, still in 10th position, he is 14 seconds off the lead right now. So yeah, Sean's got come on Lewis, you've got this. So we obviously know Sean is a Lewis Hamilton fan. I think he's done exactly what he wanted to do and what he needed to do, really. But crucial thing is we're going into DRS territory now, and like I said, Max Verstappen does have the DRS because he is in with that 1 second window. I'm hoping, if I'm just look on the driver tracker, does look to be working, and as I can see from the driver tracker, Nikita Mazepin is halfway down, so he must have had an issue at the beginning, but we haven't seen a replay of that yet. So Max Verstappen has got DRS, but could not close the gap up to make that overtaking manoeuvre. Is about half a second now compared to just under a second. But as we look at the replay of the first start, Lewis Hamilton just got a much better start, and Max Verstappen came over to the left-hand side to try and make that defensive manoeuvre, went into the pit lane area, but once Lewis got that apex, he just turned I don't know if we can see if he turned the steering wheel a bit, but he just pushed Max Verstappen out, went over the actual curbs, and interestingly enough, as anybody watched the W Series races and some of the support races as well, there was some sausage curbs on that turn 1. They've taken them out before the Formula 1 race because the actual W Series, some of them, one of the cars went over the the actual sausage curve and went up in the air. So I think for safety reasons they've took that out, but that means now that there is a restriction between that. So they are keeping an eye on track limits, but that looks like, is that Nicholas Latifi and Lance Stroll? We didn't see that at the beginning. Oh, so Lance Stroll turned in. Nicholas Latifi was absolutely sandwiched there, and they were stationary because neither of them didn't know what to do there. But yeah, I mean that really couldn't have been helped. I mean Nicholas Latifi couldn't do anything with that. I'll be surprised if he has any issues with that. But yeah, Lando Norris gets past both Sainz and Ricciardo in that instant earlier. And then somehow Carlos Sainz seems to overtake the pair of them again. Some absolutely great racing there between the two of them. Obviously Norris and Sainz, 2 teammates, and obviously Ricciardo Norris teammates for this year at McLaren. So yeah, really interesting stuff so far. Obviously, like I said, try and keep up with the comments. It looks like lap 4, Esteban Ocon's already pitted and he's on a set of hard compound tyres. So whether he had an incident, whether he had a puncture, as the commentators are saying as well, we're not too sure at the moment. But interesting that he was on the medium tyre and he's already stopped on lap 4. So yeah. Let me just have a look. They're not giving the actual data at the minute in terms of how close Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are, but still looks like Max Verstappen is within a second of Lewis Hamilton, and actually Sergio Perez looks like he's closed the gap as well. So yeah, this looks really good. If Max Verstappen can keep on the tail of it, and looks like Esteban Ocon has had an issue with his front wing, so I'll see if we can got the replay of that now. So this is going still into lap 1, what it looks like. He must have had a collision with somebody. Is it Gasly in front? No, it's Giovinazzi, I think, by Alfa Romeo. So he just got clipped on his front wing. So best thing to do now is just make that change as soon as possible. Get that front wing change, put him on a set of hard compound tyres, and then he goes on, hopefully, halfway through the race. So Lewis Hamilton has got the fastest lap now, so I'm hoping these two are going to trade places as we go through the race as well. Now, like I said, DRS is enabled, so Max Verstappen should have DRS, so that should only help him as well in terms of fuel saving and everything. So we'll just have a look now as they go on to that back straight. If Max Verstappen closes the gap between himself and Lewis Hamilton in front. Tell you what, I mean, Mercedes yesterday, Mercedes didn't look great in qualifying. Red Bull, Perez and Verstappen looked a lot better than them, but looks like Mercedes actually have a really good race car as they've gone into this. I mean, we'll just go past Bottas, the fact that he hasn't overtaken anybody yet. He's actually dropped a place. But in terms of Lewis Hamilton, actually looks, the car actually looks really stable. So that will be a interesting factor because Red Bull looked super quick yesterday. Mercedes looked quick on Friday. Red Bull looked really quick in qualifying. But have Red Bull just got that one lap pace? That will be an interesting thing to see. Greg's gone, it's true that Bottas will not be at Mercedes next season because George Russell will be at Mercedes. Yeah, absolutely. So George Russell will be at Mercedes driver alongside Lewis Hamilton next year, and George Russell, who started at the back, is now in 13th place. So he's jumped Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso from starting at the back. So lap 6, already in 13th position. That is a great start from George Russell. So we're seeing a replay of Max Verstappen. Has he got track limits? Yep. So he's already been told going into turn 19, obviously that's been discussed all through the weekend. So turn 1's new now for the race, but turn 19, as they're going into the final couple of corners, he has had a lap time deleted for track limits. So I think there might be a couple of times. I think you can do it up to 3 times before you get a warning and a possible penalty. So something to keep an eye on. I think it's turn 8 or turn 9, which is the next one as well. So this is another driver who's coming in for a front wing change, and that's Nicholas Latifi, who of course had that collision with Lance Stroll on the first lap as well. So yeah, so Nicholas Latifi has pitted as well. So him and Esteban Ocon have already made a pit. Interesting to see how long Carlos Sainz lasts as well. And ooh, both of them have just come out. Both of them have just gone in for a front wing change, and both of them almost collided into turn 1 as Latifi came out of the pits, and obviously obviously Esteban Ocon was coming into turn one. That was very close. I mean, I bet the guys are thinking, oh god, we're going to have to swap it out for another front wing again as well. Yeah, that was really close. I'm guessing we're going to see another replay of that, or maybe hopefully on Esteban Ocon's view. But yeah, lap 6, so I'll just go through the running order again as well. So of course you've got the driver tracker on the screen, you've got the leaderboard, hopefully that's being updated as well. But Lewis Hamilton is in the lead now. Max Verstappen is in second place. Sergio Perez is still in third. We've got Charles Leclerc in fourth. Daniel Ricciardo fifth, as we see that replay of Ocon and Latifi again. Really close, actually, really close. Seeing the Esteban Ocon view now. Ooh, yeah, had to again go over a bit like what Verstappen had to do on on the first turn. But yeah, good racing, good racing. Daniel Ricciardo in fifth, Carlos Sainz sixth, Norris seventh, Tsunoda eighth. Good start from him. Gasly ninth, Bottas 10th. See radio. Lewis Hamilton saying Max Verstappen is quicker than him right now, so we'll see as he goes into the DRS zone on the main straight. Giovinazzi 11th, Raikkonen 12th, Russell 13th, Vettel 14th, Alonso is in 15th, Stroll 16th after that issue with Latifi, Mick Schumacher is in 17th, Mazepin 18th, Latifi and Ocon are 19th and 20th answer after the incident that they have had. I was talking about George Russell, but I see Greg's put another comment. George Russell deserves to be at Mercedes because I feel he's the most underrated driver and he has some brilliant races. Absolutely, I feel like as much as I actually like Valtteri Bottas, and I know I get a lot of stick for that, I do like Bottas, and when he's on his A game, he puts in a stellar performance. Look at Turkey in the last race, absolutely great performance, out in front, even had to overtake Charles Leclerc at one point, but didn't put a foot wrong in that race. But then he has races like this where he is in the Mercedes. We know it's sometimes difficult to overtake, but he's in 10th place at the moment and he's actually dropped a place from where he started. So there are races like this when you just feel like George Russell would have a better race than him so far. I know we're only in lap 8, so we'll see how Bottas does when he actually finishes the race. But absolutely agree with Greg. I think George Russell's time is now in a top team. The fact that Williams are now 8th in the constructors and they managed to get 23 points. Of course, Latifi's got a couple of points in that, but George Russell, has put an absolutely stellar performance in. As it looks like Fernando Alonso is coming in the pits as well, so I'll keep an eye out for that. So Fernando Alonso he started at the back with his, I think he had an engine penalty as well, but he's coming on the medium tyre. I'm guessing he's having a hard compound tyre coming on. Yes, he is, and he should be a lot quicker than the others because he hasn't had a front wing change. So 2.5 seconds, good stop from Alpine. Carlos Sainz has lost a position. He isn't in the pits, he's lost a position. So actually this soft compound tyre is not working for Ferrari, and it's not working for Carlos Sainz as well. So Sainz, I expect, will probably be in for a change in the next couple of laps or so because it's obviously not working on that soft compound tyre. So what I'll do now is I'll just end that who you think will win the US Grand Prix. Wow, that is interesting. So Max Verstappen is saying that Lewis Hamilton is quicker, and Lewis Hamilton is saying that Max Verstappen is quicker. So that obviously is always the case. The other is not happy compared to the other driver. So who will win the USA Grand Prix? Lewis Hamilton with 47% of the votes, Max Verstappen with 43%, Sergio Perez with 7%. So thank you very much for completing that. I will do a driver of the day one a little bit later as well. So yeah, thank you very much for voting, and of course vote for your driver of the day as we get a little bit closer as well. So yeah, like I said, we're on to lap 9. Lewis Hamilton is still in the lead. Max Verstappen is still within that 1 second window as well. So Verstappen is doing everything he can to keep with Lewis Hamilton, because I think as soon as he starts to get over that 1 second margin, it's going to be very difficult for Red Bull then to keep that. We're going to have more pit stops in this race, so that could be an interesting. Let's have a look. Oh. Okay, so team radio with Carlos Sainz here. So Ferrari told Carlos Sainz to give the place up to Lando Norris on lap 1, whereas Carlos said, actually, I gave the place up to Daniel Ricciardo, so I shouldn't have to give up that place to Lando Norris. So it looks like, obviously, he did that, and then Carlos Sainz has re-overtaken him now. So Sainz is back in 6th with Norris 7th. So that's an interesting one. Obviously, because there was 3 wide, it's quite difficult to decide who to give the place back to, because obviously Carlos Sainz was the driver that ran off the track in that scenario. But yeah, it seems a bit harsh that, from especially with it being lap 1 to do that. But so Verstappen is about 7/10 of a second behind Lewis Hamilton. Obviously still having DRS as he goes down the start finish straight now onto lap 10. 9/10 of a second, 7/10 of a second. He's still within that 1 second window, but he's not really closing that much right now. So Lewis Hamilton is sort of, I don't want to say he's in control, because it is still within a second, but does seem to be a little bit comfortable for Lewis Hamilton at the moment. Sergio Perez is about 4.5 seconds back. Leclerc is about 15 seconds behind. So these two are in a world of their own. Perez is literally on his own right now. And Leclerc, Ricciardo and Sainz are pretty close together. Yuki Tsunoda looks like he's in the pits now as well. So he had a great start, but of course he's going to be moving down. George Russell is now going into the pits as well. So he had a great start, up to 13th position, but he is in the pits as well. So the tyres don't seem to be lasting. So even the medium compound tyre, which usually we say as they go into lap 15, probably can do the rest of the race, because of the heat and obviously the track degradation as well. It does actually look like that the hard compound tyre is going to be the one that they use, and even that they have to stop twice for. So yeah, the soft compound tyre really isn't working for Carlos Sainz, and clearly is just a qualifying tyre going into this weekend. So George Russell's now moved back to 17th position after pitting. Let's have a look at some of the comments. So Greg's gone, the drivers must lose so much weight when they're in the car, must be boiling. Absolutely. I mean, look, this is a really hot race circuit. Normally when we come to the Circuit of the Americas, like they said in the actual racing, that normally it's pretty cold by the time they get to Texas usually. So it's really weird that it's so hot, about 40 degrees at the moment, as we see Max Verstappen come into the pits. But we haven't had a Singapore Grand Prix this year, so that's normally the actual race where they lose the most weight. But I expect in Austin they're going to be pretty losing a bit of weight. Good stop from Red Bull, so that's 2.9 seconds. So Max Verstappen is the first driver to pit out of the top 3. So Lewis Hamilton, I expect, will probably pit in the next lap to make sure he doesn't lose out to Max Verstappen, because of course I didn't actually see which compound of tyre Max Verstappen went on. I would be surprised if he didn't go on a hard compound tyre. So that's Lando Norris in the pits as well. Lewis Hamilton actually says the tyres are okay, so he might actually stay out a little bit longer. So that will be interesting. Just keep an eye on Lewis Hamilton on the driver tracker as well, and we'll just see where he does, if he does come into the pits or not. They won't want to stay out too long, I don't think, if you were Mercedes, because you don't want him to get the undercut on you. Crystal, hi. How are you? I hope you're well. Thank you very much for joining on the stream. Greg's gone, how many pit stops do you think there would be? A lot of them are saying it's going to be a 2-stop race. And like I said, because of the the tyre compounds, it looks like Max Verstappen's trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah, because of the actual heat and the fact that the soft compound tyre is not working, the medium compound tyre is not working, that it will be a 2-stop race. So normally, we have seen a lot of 1-stop races this year, but it is going to be, I think, a 2-stop race this weekend. So yeah, keep an eye on that, because I think strategy will still play an important part as we get to the latter stages of this race, as we are on lap 11 right now. So we'll be, I'm trying to see on the driver tracker, has Lewis Hamilton stayed out? I think he has, because he would have pitted by now. But it looks like already, in terms of the graphics that they're putting up on the screen, that it's an 81% chance that Verstappen is going to take the lead in this. So Hamilton has stayed out, but perhaps it's because they already knew that would be the case with the undercut, that there's no point pitting him, knowing he would be overtaken. But it means that Lewis Hamilton's going to have to stretch this out a little bit longer, because ultimately, if they pitted next lap or the lap after, then Max Verstappen is going to take the lead. Charlie's gone, favourite driver. Good question. I mean, I've always been a Daniel Ricciardo fan. I know Jamie doesn't like Daniel Ricciardo. He thinks he's overrated, and that's a huge topic that we could go into one day. That's for sure. But I've always loved Daniel Ricciardo. He's always great personality. Was great at Red Bull. There was a couple of seasons at Red Bull. He was really, really, really good. So Verstappen's playing the strategy game while going around the circuit, saying make sure Checo does the same as Lewis. So keep an eye on that. I agree with what Greg said. I think George Russell's had a tremendous season, and he's been a great British driver to have in the sport for the last couple of years. So I think very much we'll be voting for George next year as he's in that Mercedes car alongside Lewis Hamilton. And I have a soft spot for Sebastian Vettel as well. I think he's had a tough few years, and it's great to see him, happier at Aston Martin. But good question. Let me know, everyone that's watching and enjoying the stream. Let me know your favourite drivers. Of course, we all know, Jamie's is Sergio Perez. Of course, as it looks like Sergio Perez is coming in for his pit stop, and he's coming on a set of medium compound tyres. So that's a set of used medium tyres. So that's interesting. So he's only got to 13 laps on this set of medium compound tyres. Of course, these sets will have done, I think, 2 runs of qualifying actually for Sergio Perez, because he had his first lap time deleted yesterday in terms of qualifying. So he's pitted on lap 13, gone on to a new set of medium tyres. Charles Leclerc's come in, he's put a set on hard compound tyres. So I'm going to be talking a lot about pit stops, so apologies if I keep going or talking about something and then I venture to say somebody's gone into the pits, because it's going to be a two-stop race. All the drivers will be constantly coming into the pits, so I apologise in advance if I'm already discussing that. Kevin's gone, who's pitted? Almost absolutely everybody right now. I think Leclerc has pitted, so Leclerc's just come out. Hopefully it'll show me in a minute who hasn't pitted right now. But I would say, Kevin, actually the majority of them already, apart from Lewis Hamilton, hasn't pitted right now. I think Valtteri Bottas has Valtteri Bottas pitted as well? This is the problem when you're doing the stream on your own. There was a graphic a minute ago, but I glanced at it, but I haven't got the full information. But I would say Lewis Hamilton obviously hasn't pitted yet, but the majority of them have already gone onto that hard compound tyre. Perez has gone onto a set of mediums, but used mediums, so that would be, I don't know how long they're going to last in terms of a used set of medium compound tyres. Greg's gone, do you think hard compound tyres are the best? Yes, I do, just because of the fact that the mediums aren't going for a very long period of time. As Lewis Hamilton comes into the pits, he's on a set of hard compound tyres. Softs are not going to be used at all, I don't think, apart from Sainz and Tsunoda that started on them. It will be either the mediums or the hard compound tyres, but I would be very surprised if anybody does go onto that. And Max Verstappen, it looks like Max Verstappen has easily overtaken Lewis Hamilton. So there we go, lap 14, first pit stops have seen Max Verstappen retake the lead of this, and I have to say that is a really big gap now between Verstappen and Hamilton. 6 seconds. 6.3 seconds. That's absolutely crazy. I'm not sure if we're going to get any team radio on that. I'm not sure Lewis Hamilton's going to be very happy with it. I don't understand why I know they could have come in straight away and they would have already lost the position because Red Bull have done the undercut. But he would have been a lot closer, I feel, than this. He's 6.5 seconds now off Max Verstappen. And of course, Max Verstappen has been on them tyres a lot longer now, about 3 or 4 laps, I think. But still, 6.5 seconds. Max Verstappen, obviously, he won't have DRS. Lewis Hamilton too far away now. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one now. It's a very strange decision to be 6.5 seconds behind. And actually, I don't know if this is a strategy with Red Bull, but 6.5 seconds it is from Hamilton to Verstappen. Perez is 11 seconds, so Perez is about 6 seconds as well between Hamilton. So whether with that medium compound tyres he's able to maybe get a little bit closer to actual Hamilton and attack him, but again, how long are them medium compound tyres going to last for Sergio Perez? So yeah, lap 14. Pit stops. Kevin, Bottas hasn't pitted, Vettel hasn't pitted, Stroll hasn't pitted. The rest have all pitted. So Bottas is now in 5th, Vettel and Stroll are 9th and 10th. They have not pitted. So they finally give me that. As it looks like, Pierre Gasly is going very, very slowly. I did say before the race started they were having issues with the power unit. Oh, actually suspension. He's going very slowly on that main straight. We did see, actually, I think it was 2019 as well, we did see Sebastian Vettel in terms of his suspension as well, where actually the back of it started tipping, and obviously the actual rear suspension just gave way. So with the bumps this time around, I'm not sure if we're gonna. Oh, it's only a replay of Verstappen and Hamilton, but that gap is humongous between them now. But so suspension issues for Pierre Gasly. Has that got anything to do with the actual circuit, or has that been an actual issue between them as well? A lot of fans happy with that changing places between Verstappen and Hamilton. Crystal's gone. It's 84 Fahrenheit in Austin today. It's always hot as hell. Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a fantastic weekend. If anybody's gone to Austin, I obviously don't know about the travel restrictions or anything, but it's been a fantastic weekend for the weather over there. So yeah, huge capacity crowd. I think it's about 150,000 people in the grandstands and around the track this weekend. So Bottas is being told, give it absolutely everything. And like I said, he hasn't pitted yet, but he's being told, give it absolutely everything. I have to say, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but a lot of the drivers have changed their crash helmet this weekend. I absolutely love the design on Bottas as well. Check it out on social media. He's going into the pits now, so he is pitting as well. George Russell's got a great one as well. But yeah, so Bottas is coming in. I can't see the tyre compound. It's hard compound tyres. So Bottas is pitting. Excuse me. So it is just Vettel and Stroll that have not pit now for Aston Martin, and they are 9th and 10th, although they're going to overtake Bottas now as we go in. So Bottas is going to come out just behind Tsunoda, so he's back down to 11th place. Ooh, oh! I think Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen have literally just touched. A bit of debris fell off there. I'm not sure if that was from the Alfa Romeo or whether it was from Alonso. I think it's Alonso because he's yielded a little bit there. Is that his front wing? 82 combined age, Sky Sports said. The two of them fighting there. Kimi Raikkonen, as we know, is retiring at the end of the season. Great career has Kimi Raikkonen had. Just trying to see if there's any damage to Fernando Alonso's car. I can't see any on the front wing. I'm surprised because he yielded that position to Kimi Raikkonen a little bit easier than I thought he would. Kimi Raikkonen locks up there. Alonso's already asking for the position back. Love it, love it. Anybody that says they don't enjoy Fernando Alonso being back in the sport isn't a true Formula One fan. As much as he is taking away a position from maybe a younger driver, Fernando Alonso is still one of the best drivers on the grid, hands down. I will have a debate with anybody about that. I have no issue with that. I would still have Fernando Alonso. If I had a Formula One team, they did touch. If I had a Formula One team, it would be Fernando Alonso in there as well. I think Fernando Alonso and George Russell. That would be a good combination. Well, Greg's gone, why do the drivers weigh themselves? Is there any reason why they do that? I think, I'm not sure if it's to do with the actual parc fermé conditions. I don't know if it's because obviously they do it before they get into the car. I think it might be to do if there's any sort of speed difference, anything that the cars, if anybody actually has that points, that would be a great thing, but I don't know if it's to do it for the actual weight in terms of the car to make sure everything's correct once the parc fermé comes in. But yeah, interesting one. If anybody does have the actual information for that would be great to put in the chat. But that's a good question actually. Sean's gone, Hamilton is now behind Max. Yeah, Sean, I know, like you said, you're a big Hamilton fan, but I'm not sure. Mercedes have done an absolute stinker there, to be honest, unless it's going to help them in terms of their second pit stop. He went from being about a second and a half in the lead to being about 6.3 seconds behind Max Verstappen as we're now on lap 17. Dan, bring back Jarno Trulli. I mean, absolute legend. Jarno Trulli, Nick Heidfeld, Fernando Alonso. We're going back to a great era right there. That is a great era of Formula One. Especially talking about the 2010s, 2011 seasons, they were good seasons. So actually, I've been chatting away, talking absolute nonsense, and Pierre Gasly is now out of the race with that suspension issue. So Pierre Gasly is the first retirement of this United States Grand Prix. Bit of a shame for Pierre Gasly because, of course, he started in the top 10 as well, and has had a great season so far. Has been in the news recently talking about how he feels like he deserves another shot with a big team, and I have to agree, he's had a really good season this year. I don't think he'll ever get another opportunity at Red Bull, so it will be maybe going to a different team, maybe leaving the Red Bull Academy altogether, because AlphaTauri are never going to be at that top level. As Bottas tries to make a move on Yuki Tsunoda, but good defending from Yuki Tsunoda. So of course he's the only AlphaTauri, like I just mentioned, still in the race right now, and Yuki Tsunoda's been picking up recently as well, and I think that's only helped for Alex Albon being his driver coach. I do think it's funny that Alex Albon got took out of the Red Bull seat, but he is actually a driver coach for Yuki Tsunoda this season now, as we get into the second half of the year. Let's have a look at Fernando. Oh, no, they're chatting to Christian Horner, and they took it off the team radio from Fernando Alonso. I would have much rather listened to Fernando Alonso, to be honest. Ooh, is that Bottas? So Bottas has overtaken Lance Stroll. Yuki Tsunoda's overtaken Lance Stroll as well. Bottas is trying to make the move on both of them, but Tsunoda's done a great defensive move once again. No investigation necessary between Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen, and Raikkonen hasn't given the place back, so Fernando Alonso obviously isn't going to be very happy with that, but when is Fernando ever happy? Jack, can you name an F1 driver who is from Scotland? Oh, the absolute greatness that is DC, Mr. David Coulthard, absolute legend. Is of course from Scotland. Who doesn't like David Coulthard? I mean, I think it is a shame. I probably shouldn't really get into this because it is a bit of a hot topic, but I think it is a shame that I have to tune in to watch the live race with Sky Sports in the UK and not maybe Channel 4, because I think they have better coverage, and the fact that their highlights program is midnight tonight is a bit of a joke, to be honest. But hey, let's not get into that debate right now. That's probably not a great one to start. But yeah, I think we should have more live races on not pay-per-view TV, not Sky Sports. I think there should be more coverage maybe on Freeview channels. But hey, I'm not in Formula One's board right now, So lap 19, let's get back into the actual racing. So lap 19, Max Verstappen still leads Lewis Hamilton by about 6 seconds, 6.3 seconds the gap right now. Sergio Perez about 6 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton still. Bottas going to make this manoeuvre pretty comfortably on Yuki Tsunoda. So Bottas... yes, he does. I was going to say, so Tsunoda almost made another great defensive manoeuvre there, but Bottas does get the place from Yuki Tsunoda, so he is now up to 8th place. So no, Greg, Alex Albon is actually driving for Williams next year. So George Russell, of course, is going to Mercedes. Bottas is going to Alfa Romeo. And that free spot at Williams has been filled by Alex Albon. So he's still going to be with the Red Bull program. I don't think that's changed. But what they're doing is they're sort of loaning him out and allowing him to go to Williams, of course, which is a Mercedes team, really, because Mercedes supply the engines to Williams. And that's why George Russell was allowed to go there as well, and obviously being trained up in Formula One at Williams. But Alex Albon is going to Williams next year alongside Nicholas Latifi, so I think that'll be a great pairing. Jos Capito is obviously happy with that. Hopefully they're going to be a lot better as we go into the new regulation changes as well. And of course, they're going to finish the season in 8th in the Constructors' Championship. Pretty well done as well. From everybody at Williams, who we all know have had a pretty terrible last 3 or 4 seasons. So it's great to see that they won't be starting, at the back in terms of constructors, and that of course, leads to more money as well. So it will be Haas that are at the back of the grid, but not much to say about them really, because they have been terrible this year, and it's not great for them that this is their home race and they are currently 18th and 19th. So second to last and of course last. Jim Clark, yeah, of course, Jim Clark. Fantastic racing driver in terms of Jim Clark. We can go back to the eras of Formula One racing drivers, and Jim Clark is certainly up there as well. But personally for me, in terms of my era, watching David Coulthard, as that was a really very optimistic dive from Fernando Alonso on Giovinazzi, but he's caused probably still angry from the fact that he hasn't been given the position back from Kimi Räikkönen. So defending really hard there. Again, Giovinazzi trying to take the position back, but Fernando Alonso has kept that now for 11th place. So he is going to be chasing down Kimi Räikkönen again for that final points position of 10th. But he did go really wide, so I'm surprised they probably won't tell him to give... Did he go off the track? Let me just have a look. So he did go off the track, so he might get told. Yeah, he's saying yes on the radio, but he had gone off the track to then take the position. So I'm pretty sure Fernando Alonso actually might get told to give the position back. Wouldn't want to be his race engineer when you have to tell Fernando Alonso you got to give a position back. So let me just see. So we're going back onto the TV coverage of Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. So sort of only between, actually, we haven't really mentioned the McLaren and the Ferraris in the last few laps or so, because it has been about Verstappen and Hamilton and about Fernando Alonso and Bottas, where they are in the actual race order. But Daniel Ricciardo is keeping Carlos Sainz at bay at the moment, but he is pretty close. He is within a second, is Carlos Sainz, in terms of catching the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo. Norris is about 5 seconds behind this pairing as well. And Leclerc, I don't know how far away Leclerc is, actually. I can't see him in terms of the driver tracker, but I'm pretty sure he's quite a little bit further away from Daniel Ricciardo. So I think Leclerc, again, is in a bit of a world of his own. He's actually catching Sergio Perez, I think, more than Daniel Ricciardo is. But of course, let me know if I'm being a bit wrong. I'm trying to see the driver tracker on the screen. It's an absolute bonus for you, but I am matching the driver tracker with the actual coverage on this other screen I've got, so I can't see the full information, annoyingly. I'm trying to get everything, but I think that sometimes when you have two people that are doing a stream, normally one can look at one thing and one can look at the other. So I'm trying to do everything. How it's coming off, I'm not too sure, but hopefully everything is going well in terms of the stream. So FIA radio is getting actually played a lot. Sorry for being a little bit quiet there, but that is Alpine trying to sort of say to the FIA and of course Michael Massey to say, is it okay to overtake a driver off the track? And Michael Massey's obviously gone back on the radio and said, no, it's not okay. And they've gone, well, Kimi Räikkönen's done it, so why is he allowed to do it? And Fernando Alonso isn't allowed to do it. And the FIA have said, well, you're not allowed to do it. And it's a bit like schoolboy stuff. It really is. When you're listening to the teams speaking to the FIA, it is very much like playground stuff. Well, he does it. Well, he does it. So yeah, interesting that Kimi Räikkönen wasn't told to give the position back. Of course, you're not allowed to overtake on the track. He was just over, so I can see where Alpine are coming from. But yeah, the investigation hasn't been warranted. There's no investigation needed for it. But yeah, I think Fernando Alonso will now be chasing down Kimi Räikkönen. So hopefully, as we get a little bit closer, that should be a bit of a tasty one as well. So as I've been talking about that, Lewis Hamilton is now 5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So it was about 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds. It's now 4.9. So Verstappen is being caught a little bit by Lewis Hamilton. So the tyre rate, so Verstappen's on 12 laps on these tyres right now. Hamilton's on 9 laps on these hard compound tyres, because obviously he pitted later. The person who's done the most is Giovinazzi on medium compound tyres and Ocon on 18 laps on his, but of course he almost pitted almost immediately with his front wing damage. But it is now 4.7, so as we're getting on to lap 23, it looks like Lewis Hamilton is now closing the gap. So whether he's been holding back a little bit, maybe Verstappen's holding back now, but the gap is closing slightly. No, I agree, Greg. I think that the safety back in the 50s, I mean, going into a season and maybe not knowing, if you would finish it, or, some of your best friends who were drivers, again, not knowing if you'd all make the race weekend. I think the safety is absolutely paramount. We've seen some of the incidents that have happened so far this season. Verstappen going into the wall in Silverstone, Hamilton, of course, having that halo incident in Monza with Verstappen as well. Incidents like that, it would be very difficult back in the 50s to think of anything other than a fatality. So safety is absolutely paramount, and of course, has made huge leaps and bounds over the last few years, and is super important now. And it looks like Giovinazzi has been given the place back from Fernando Alonso. So I will love to hear that team radio when he's been told to give that position back. But Fernando Alonso probably won't be happy right now. 4.4 seconds now. Anyone that's Lewis Hamilton fans, 4.4 seconds now, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. So Hamilton is slowly closing that gap now onto lap 24. So hopefully you can see it on the driver tracker, the closer that them two are getting on the screen as well. Fernando Alonso, let's see that replay. Has gone very slow to let that position back to Giovinazzi. Straight on the power again, see if he can make that overtake manoeuvre done again. Daniel Ricciardo has managed to extend that gap a little bit now, so it's just over a second between him and Sainz, so fighting for 5th position, but looks like Sainz isn't in the DRS zone right now, so good defending manoeuvres from Daniel Ricciardo to hold that position for the time being. But good battle, actually, and of course McLaren, I think, were voted over the last couple of days to be the fan base's favourite team. Of course, my favourite team of McLaren as well. I didn't actually vote, I didn't know there was a poll out. Oh, Fernando Alonso and Giovinazzi are battling here, and this is Giovinazzi hasn't got a place for next season yet. Bottas doesn't have a teammate for next season, but Giovinazzi is giving it absolutely everything against the two-time world champion Fernando Alonso. This is definitely going to be on the best drives on the YouTube channel, but great battling between Giovinazzi and Fernando Alonso, and this is literally just for 11th place. Great job. I mean, like I said, he did go wide as well. So Fernando Alonso, I think, will be on the team radio going, well, he defended his position wide. He's going to have to give that position back. But I think it's very difficult. If you're going into that, braking zone after that long straight, it's quite difficult to defend. And obviously that driver the driver that's on the inside is going to know that if we push you out wide and you still trying to defend that position, then I'm just going to get on the radio and say, well, give me that place back. So I think the FIA needs to look at that and go, but obviously rule breaking, but let the racing go on. I think it's quite a difficult one. But if you're on the inside line and if you try and push that driver out a little bit more, there you go. Giovinazzi's being told to give the position back. That's the problem. As much as I get that, if you go wide and then maybe take the position, then you shouldn't have done that because you've gone off the track. But you're just ruining the racing a little bit for me. And Martin Brundle's in my ear telling, well, if you don't do it on the track, it's not a manoeuvre. But sometimes you just take the fun out of it, Martin, to be honest. And while I've been having another rant, Vettel and Russell are getting a little bit close for 13th position. Of course, Giovinazzi's literally just in front of them. So all that battling between Alonso and Giovinazzi has now seen Russell and Vettel catching them up. But quickly before anything happens between these two, as it looks like Vettel's trying to make a manoeuvre done on George Russell, and he's going around the outside. That's great battling. Vettel looks like he's got the position done. Oh, yes, he has. That was great battling around 16, 17, 18. Sebastian Vettel, great manoeuvres there. But I was just going to mention, before anything happens in that one, Hamilton is now 3 seconds behind Max Verstappen, 2.9 seconds. So he is very much closing that gap. So everybody keep an eye on where he is in terms of catching Verstappen now. Sean's gone. It's all about tyre management. That's the problem. When the tyres are degrading so much, it is about tyre management, because you don't want to make any more than 2 stops. You don't want to make any more pit stops than you need to, of course, because it's 25 seconds almost in terms of making that stop. So it is very much a tyre management game. It looks like Latifi and Ocon, the 2 people that pitted almost straight away, are in the pits again now on lap 27. Greg's gone, where is Jamie Davis? Jamie Davis is probably crying in a corner right now. If anybody is just Formula 1, then that's absolutely fine. But if you are a football fan as well, you will know that Jamie Davis is a Manchester United fan. And you will know that they have had a bit of a shocker today. So Jamie is probably drowning his sorrows with some alcoholic beverages. And I don't blame him at all, because I watched that game and they were absolutely terrible. I wouldn't mind, but I only had one Manchester United player in that team, in my fantasy team, and it was Paul Pogba. And he managed to get sent off. So great job from Manchester United, and great job from Pogba for my fantasy league as well. So yeah, thank you very much, Jamie, and your team. But I think the less we say about Manchester United, the better. Great result from Liverpool. But of course, even better for my team yesterday, winning 7-0. So, I mean, we can't all have it each week, but great result. So is that George Russell who's gone in, or Giovinazzi? So Giovinazzi's gone into the pits. So that's set Vettel and Russell free. So Giovinazzi has come into the pits now, and of course that'll make Fernando Alonso very happy indeed, because that's less Giovinazzi that he's got to worry about now. Virtual safety car, interesting. So virtual safety car's come out. Not sure what the virtual safety car has come out for, but Verstappen's gone past the pit lane. So has Lewis Hamilton. It looks like Marshall's gone out for a bit of debris. So whether there's been a little bit of an incident, but it's already ending, so nothing to worry about on that. So that could have played a little bit of an impact for people in terms of making pit stops, because virtual safety car, obviously, if you go in for the pits, you're actually quicker in the pit lane than you are actually on track with the virtual safety car. So if it stays out for a long period, it's actually beneficial to go into the pits at that point. So you save about 5-10 seconds in the pit stops, I think, if you're under a virtual safety car. And we've obviously seen that, really, play effect in previous races as well. I think Australia 2018, I think maybe, or 2017 or something, when Vettel actually won the race and overtook Hamilton under the virtual safety car. So Perez's drink system's not working. Pretty much the worst time to have an issue, when you've got 40 degrees or 30 degrees, 83 Fahrenheit, as Crystal said earlier. Yeah, not the time to have a drinks issue, but Sergio Perez seems to be having that. I think he had it before the race started as well. And I think they were hoping that Red Bull had fixed it, but of course that isn't the case. So he's going to have a very, very, very hot race with no drink system. As I just take a drink. I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't ironic, Sergio. I apologise. I just... Hamilton 7/10 quicker on that previous lap, so 3.2 seconds. So it hasn't really made too much gains, but is getting a little bit quicker. Sector 2, sorry, in the last lap. So that wasn't the last lap overall, but Sector 2 he was quicker by 7/10. So still 3.2 seconds as we're on to lap 29 out of 56 at the US Grand Prix. Looking forward to the Mexican Grand Prix as well, as we get to the other the other races on the grid as well. Always love the Mexico Grand Prix. I think it's got some great overtaking manoeuvres as well, and the crowd's almost as big as it is this weekend at the USA as well. So yeah, looking forward to obviously the Mexican Grand Prix as well. Some of the racetracks not that bothered out as we go into the remaining 6, but obviously not much you can do about that. Great to see Turkey back on the grid the last couple of weekends ago, but. Okay, so Charles Leclerc, by his engineers, being told that the actual tyre degradation is better on this hard compound tyre than they actually thought. So Leclerc might be staying out a little bit longer. This is Lance Stroll on George Russell now as well. So He's sort of gone a little bit further back now as George Russell. He's not chasing Sebastian Vettel. He's actually being caught by the other Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. So this could be Lance Stroll making a manoeuvre on George Russell, and that would be for 13th position as Fernando Alonso comes into the pits for another set of hard compound tyres. So, how many laps did that do? Was that 15 laps? I mean, so Verstappen's gone into the pits. Sorry, while I'm trying to do maths. Verstappen has gone into the pits as well. 2.8 second pit stop, so he's gone in now as well. Lewis Hamilton will probably stay out a little bit longer again, but they've only done about 15 laps, I think, from my maths. So there's 26 laps to go. So are they not going to have to make another pit? Right, so Lewis Hamilton, by Pete Bonington's being told to go an extra 6 laps from actually our target. So, again, they're doing very much, like Sean said, they're doing tyre management. Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes going to try and extend that gap. But, Max Verstappen, I think, only did about 15 laps on that set of hard compound tyres and has now got 26 laps to do. So, is that a free stop or... really interesting. Pit stops are really going to play a factor in this race, I feel. Oh, slow stop from Carlos Sainz and Ferrari. Not good. 5.6 seconds. Not good. Not good. So that's him out of the fight of the McLarens. He's going to come out in 8th place. Well, that's Perez slipstreaming, allowing DRS for Max Verstappen. And like they've just mentioned, that just shows actually how far Sergio Perez is back. That Verstappen's made his second pit stop, and he's already taken Sergio Perez. So Jamie's drowning his sorrows for Manchester United, but he might also be a little bit disappointed that Perez is that far back. He's still in 3rd place, so he's still on for a podium at the moment, but he's definitely not in the fight for the win at the moment either. Yeah, Ricciardo's been told we can cover this stop now because of Carlos Sainz having the issue. So look for Daniel Ricciardo coming into the pit stops as well to try and make sure they secure that position against Carlos Sainz. Greg's mentioned, did Paul Pogba break the Liverpool player's leg? Not too sure, but it didn't look like a very good challenge, and definitely a red card. Was over the boot level, so terrible tackle. He was only on the pitch for about 10 minutes, I think. So. I'm not sure about the update. I think that was Naby Keita, wasn't it? But terrible challenge, and hopefully the recovery's not too bad. But not too sure actually on the update to that. But Daniel Ricciardo is coming into the pit stops, is covering that stop from Carlos Sainz. Much better pit stop, 2.7 seconds compared to 5 seconds. Looks like they're double stacking at McLaren as well. Probably not going to be as fast for Lando Norris. It isn't. 4.2 seconds. That's the problem when you're the second driver on that double stack. They were very close together as well. So, they tried, but... so Sainz has got past Lando Norris, but Daniel Ricciardo has obviously covered off the position for Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris has come out now. He's about 5 seconds away from Carlos Sainz now. Yep, Sean, Verstappen was in. Yeah, so Verstappen has pit. He's about 17 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton now. But like we've been told on the radio, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are extending that gap now for an extra 6 laps. So they're on target plus 6 laps. So they're definitely going long in this next sector. But Max Verstappen is going to be a little bit quicker in the next few laps because he's got brand new hard compound tyres on. So, whether Lewis can actually go through the degradation and keep this tyre on for a longer period of time, who knows? Could have a safety car, could have a virtual safety car that'll only help Lewis Hamilton when he eventually makes that pit stop. But the only retirement we've had so far is Pierre Gasly, who went out with a suspension issue. Only had one virtual safety car, but literally lasted about 30 seconds. So we're on lap 32. Lewis Hamilton has retaken the lead, does have fastest lap, but he's only in the lead because he hasn't made that second pit stop yet, really. And Verstappen, at the moment, would clearly retake the lead of this race when Verstappen comes in. Anybody knows how much it is to be on that observation platform for a race. Because there's quite a few people up there. I don't know how much it actually is ticket-wise to be on that observation tower for the race. I mean, probably is a great view of the whole track, but probably not a great view to actually know who it is that's going past, unless you've got binoculars. Got another person in the pits. Just trying to see who that is. As they're on the Christian Horner is on the team radio again. It's not the Mercedes because they're sitting comfortably in there. It's George Russell's coming into the pits for his. Is that his first? Is that his second stop or his third stop? I'm getting confused with pit stops now. It's all out of control. It's all out of control. I think we needed. Let's Talk Sport need to hire a pit stop counter. If anybody wants the position, it's pay of sweets. Jamie Davis will provide them. We'll post them to you next week. Leclerc's in the pits. Better stop for Ferrari than for Carlos Sainz. 2.6 seconds compared to 5.5 seconds for Carlos Sainz. Sergio Perez set the fastest lap as well. I was just going to say Bottas has done really well to get where he is now. He is in 5th place, but I've just realised he's only pitted once. So, yeah. But he's close to the Ferrari now. So, again, don't know how long Bottas is going to stay out with Mercedes again if they're doing the same sort of target lap as Hamilton. But he may be able to get Charles Leclerc, but he might be out of DRS zone by the time we get there. Yeah, I think he will be, actually. Yeah, it's about 1.4 seconds, actually. Oh, team radio for Hamilton. Okay, so Hamilton still says the tyres still feel good, so target is still +6. Pete Bonnington's also said it could be 7, depending on the tyres. So they are very much going long on this strategy, and like I said, I think it will be that either Verstappen has to pit again, or he's very much going to be really tyre managing them hard compound tyres that he's just put on now for the end of the race. But it could be very much a free stop for Max Verstappen, because I don't know how he's going to do 26 laps on that next set of hard compounds that he's on now, because they've only managed 15 on the first stint. So yeah, interesting. Yuki Tsunoda's pretty close to... Is that Lance Stroll? Oh, no, ignore me. It's Lewis Hamilton. They're all lapped down. Kimi Raikkonen trying to make the move on Yuki Tsunoda, though, because that is for position. Oh, goes the inside. Ooh, they might have touched wheels there, but Yuki Tsunoda stays in that 11th place position. Kimi Raikkonen is... I don't know if he obviously won it, like I said, in 2018, but very much feisty in this Grand Prix. He must be realising he's coming to the end of his career, so he might as well put a few more good positions in. But yeah, great race for him so far. I know he's in 12th place, but he really is looking feisty in that Alfa Romeo. So Giovinazzi as well was pretty close. He's in 14th position at the moment. I'll go through where they are in the orders, but of course, looking on the stream as well, you know, the actual live grid is appearing there, but I will go through it in the next couple as well. So only Mick Schumacher, Vettel, Stroll, Bottas and Hamilton haven't pitted for a second time now. The rest of them have all pitted twice. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Greg's put, how far is Max from Lewis? It was about 15 seconds, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. So they're showing the pit stop count at the minute. So anytime somebody wants to know the pit stops, it's showing the actual count. And anytime somebody wants to know the pit stops, it's showing... No, I'm getting confused now. Whatever. It's too late in the evening. They're still showing the pit stops. But, Greg, it was about 15 seconds, I think, the last time they checked. As Bottas is now coming into the pits. 2.3 seconds, and he's on for another set of hard compound tyres. 13 seconds. 13.8 seconds is the gap between Verstappen and Hamilton. So yeah, lap 35. Hamilton is still in the lead, but like I said, he is the only main front runner that hasn't pitted for a second time. Max Verstappen is 14 seconds off Lewis Hamilton now. Sergio Perez is in third with the fastest lap at the moment. Looks like there's an Aston Martin coming into the pits as well. Leclerc is fourth. Daniel Ricciardo fifth for McLaren. Sainz sixth. Bottas seventh. He's now pitted, but into seventh place, so not a bad so far. Is making his way up slowly. Norris is 8th, Vettel is 9th, Tsunoda 10th, Raikkonen is 11th, Fernando Alonso is 12th, Giovinazzi 13th, Lance Stroll was the Aston Martin who has come in for a pit stop, George Russell is 15th, Mick Schumacher 16th, Latifi 17th, Ocon 18th, and Nikita Mazepin is... I think he is in New York. I don't know if he is actually in Austin, but it says he's 50 seconds behind Esteban Ocon, so he might as well be in New York, to be honest. Mick Schumacher, his teammate, is going in for a pit stop. And Sergio Perez with that fastest lap as well may not help, obviously, Verstappen, but it will help in terms of the constructors. Yeah, very quiet on the team radio. So Lewis is keeping his head down, I think. So 13 seconds. It's still the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen at the moment. Lewis can't finish the race with only one stop, can he? I would be very surprised if Lewis did go to the end on these, just because of the fact that everybody else only lasted about 15 laps. His teammate Bottas has come in for his second stop as well now. So I think it's only a matter of time before Lewis comes in. But the fact that Hamilton... The only thing I think that Mercedes are going for is by extending this stint, it means they're going to be on fresher tyres to hunt down Max Verstappen as we get into the closing stages, because we can see how Verstappen has closed the gap up to Hamilton in this stint. I think Mercedes are going to go, well, look, we'll go that extra 7 laps longer, and that means that Hamilton will be a lot faster than Max Verstappen as we come to the end of the Grand Prix. But it might be that Verstappen go free stop, but Red Bull go free stop, and Mercedes are only on 2 stop for Hamilton. So Sean's gone, if the tyres are okay, Greg, then yes. Of course, possibility that it could be a 1 stop, but I would be very surprised if that is the case. I mean, great job tyre management wise for Lewis Hamilton if he manages to do this in a 1 stop. Just trying to see, there's not really... I'm looking on the driver tracker, and it looks like everybody really is quite spaced out, and Mercedes are coming in. So Greg, Sean, Mercedes are coming in for... They're coming out, sorry, the tyres are coming out, so Lewis Hamilton is coming into the pit. So lap 37, 11.5 second gap that Verstappen had closed down to him. Hamilton is coming into the pits. New set of hard compound tyres. Let's see what the stop's like. Good pit stop. 2.4 seconds. Really good pit stop from Hamilton. Verstappen's gone past already. So it'll just be what the gap is now once he gets back out there. So lap 38. Both of the two in front have pitted. So it says 7.8, but I think it'll extend from that point. 8.7. 8.8, so it's about 9 seconds. So actually, it's not as big of a gap as I thought it was going to be that Lewis Hamilton had to chase down. But I think this will be it now. I think both of them will probably save their tyres for a little bit, but Hamilton will have the fresher tyres to be able to chase down Max Verstappen as we get to the latter part of this race, unless it goes to a free stop. But we'll wait and see on that factor. Got a bit of a car park going on here. Is that Tsunoda, Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso? So we've come back to it. It's lap 38 and we've got Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso once again going to have another little battle, I feel. I think Tsunoda is racing really hard today, but is slowing Raikkonen and Alonso down at the moment. So Alonso's managed to catch up to Kimi Raikkonen a little bit. So we'll see if these the two experiences, the two old boys, see if they can have a little bit of a duel again. But Fernando Alonso is very much closing Kimi Raikkonen now because they're both being held up by Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, and the commentators have made it clear, obviously, that these three drivers here, Tsunoda, Raikkonen and Alonso, are all fighting for that final championship point in 10th place. Vettel is 9th. Has Vettel pitted yet? Don't think Vettel's pitted yet. I was going to say Vettel is in 9th, but he's 8 seconds ahead of Tsunoda, but I don't think he's pitted yet, so... Let's see, Fernando. Right, so the engineers are telling Lewis Hamilton it's all about the final few laps, the last 3 laps, as they've made it clear. So very much tyre management, slowly catch Max Verstappen, and then use them fresher compound tyres to have a go at Max Verstappen in the final few laps. I mean, if it goes to the final few laps and we really do see a battle between them, that really will be a sum up of what we've had so far this season. But it has mellowed a little bit. If you're still joining me, then fair dues. Thank you very much for staying tuned to this US Grand Prix, and of course the Let's Talk Sport live stream of this has slowed down a little bit. As Sean said earlier, it's very much a race about tyre management. Obviously that is coming into play now with the amount of pit stops that are going on. Hopefully as we get to the latter part of the race, we're on lap 39 of 56. As we get into the maybe a couple more laps to go, maybe 5-10 more laps, we should then maybe start to see a bit more things hotting up. But Craig's put, do you think Kimi will be on Sky Sports for F1 next season as a pundit? Unless Sky pay him per word, I'm not sure there's much point in bringing Kimi Raikkonen on, because he's not really going to say a lot. I think Jenson Button's been a great addition. One of my favourite drivers of all time. There's a picture somewhere, where's my hand? There, of Jenson Button. I think he's been a great addition. Some of the pundits on Sky, I'm not their biggest fan, to be honest. So I think Kimi probably would be a great addition, but I think Kimi will literally just be taking a break from Formula One altogether. He might do other projects. That'll be good to see if he does a bit more. Of course, we know he did rallying back in the day when he took his break from F1 before. I think unless Sky pay him per word, I don't think Kimi would really take that on board, to be honest. So we're lap 40. The gap's still about lap's still about 9 seconds. Is about 9 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton at the moment. What we need now is no offence to anybody, but what we need now is a safety car. So unless somebody wants to slowly stop on track and have a bit of an engine issue, obviously we don't want any big incidents, but if someone was to bring a safety car into the fold now, that really would spice things up, especially with the fact that Lewis Hamilton does have fresher tyres compared to Max Verstappen. Giovinazzi's overtaken Fernando Alonso. Haven't seen that battle. Vettel's overtaken Alonso. Is Alonso in the pits? Stroll's overtaken Alonso. Alonso must be in the pits. They're not telling me on the screen. Yeah, Verstappen's catching traffic as well, so he has got that Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi gap now, so hopefully they all get out of the way as we get to the end of the back straight, but Hamilton may catch him a little bit here. He's gone to 7 seconds now, so traffic I think is playing a bit of a factor for Max Verstappen, trying to obviously get out of the way, but is he? I think he might still be behind. 6.9 seconds. So yeah, traffic is really helping Lewis Hamilton here. I think Max Verstappen's not very happy with the fact that obviously that gap, Tsunoda, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi are all obviously battling position. He's still behind them. Why aren't we getting why isn't the feed getting onto them? I don't understand why Tsunoda, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi are still ahead of Max Verstappen. 6.3 seconds now, fastest lap from Lewis Hamilton. This is really helping Lewis Hamilton catch Max Verstappen. As Carlos Sainz has DRS on Daniel Ricciardo. Carlos Sainz is going for a move. Ooh, just not enough space there. Daniel Ricciardo, great defending, covers the inside. Carlos Sainz still behind Daniel Ricciardo at the minute. So Verstappen's past Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, but he's not past Tsunoda yet. You think Tsunoda would get the call from sister team to let Max Verstappen by, to be honest. Ooh. Oh, Esteban Ocon's got an issue here. Esteban Ocon's retiring the car. Right, so Esteban Ocon is out. He's not causing a safety car. He's going into the pits now, so he's retiring the car in the pit lane. Black and white flag for Nikita Mazepin as well as Kimi Raikkonen. So that must have been for letting Verstappen past. How the hell is Verstappen still behind Yuki Tsunoda right now? Hasn't that just been a whole lap? He's getting is he getting DRS? He's not even getting DRS from Yuki Tsunoda as well. How strange. He's only just caught past Yuki Tsunoda as well. Max Verstappen didn't have DRS either when he was behind Yuki Tsunoda, so that was a strange one. But the last lap, Lewis Hamilton took 1.5 seconds out, so Max Verstappen really struggled with the traffic over the last couple of laps or so. Oh, contact between Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. Daniel Ricciardo is still ahead of Carlos Sainz, but has been contact. I'll need to see a replay of that. There was note from that. They weren't showing it at the time. I just heard the commentator say contact between the pair of them. And of course, this is majorly important for the Constructors' Championship of both Ferrari and McLaren. So McLaren's still in the lead at the moment, but as it stands, it would only be by 2 points, or 1.5 points, sorry, with that half points for Ferrari. Really close between McLaren and Ferrari. Forget Red Bull and Mercedes for Constructors. This is close for third place in the Constructors. So Carlos Sainz goes around the outside. Daniel Ricciardo has the inside line, but of course on this track, oh, what happened there? Ooh, maybe Daniel Ricciardo had a little bit of oversteer. They had to correct on the steering wheel, and in doing so touched Carlos Sainz slightly as he was going along the inside, but racing incident for me. Carlos Sainz is saying he did that on purpose, not too sure. I think it was a bit of a racing incident, to be honest. Both of them are fighting hard for that 5th place position, of course, means a lot in the Constructors' Championship as well. I mean, what happens with this is that these two fighting is allowing Valtteri Bottas to catch the pair of them. He's only 1.5 seconds behind both Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz as well now. So, yeah, lap 44, Valtteri Bottas is coming into play between the pair of them now. Update, just over 4 seconds gap between Verstappen and Hamilton still as well. Greg, did Felipe Massa do Formula E? Felipe Massa did do Formula E. I don't know if he was team principal as well at one point. I think he raced with Susie Wolf being the team principal, and then I don't know if Felipe Massa then took a team principal role somewhere else, but he did race at Formula E at one point. But to be honest, I don't really watch Formula E. It's a little bit boring, although F1 can be boring sometimes. Yeah, just not into Formula E, to be honest. I think if they somehow have where they don't have to get into a different car. Although I don't know if that's changed now, but obviously they used to have to get into a second car to finish the race because the battery power pack wasn't large enough to do the full Formula E race. Don't know if that's changed now, but that for me just wasn't interesting at all. So if they've somehow managed that the one car can do the whole Formula E race for each driver, then I might consider watching it, but just hasn't interested me. So 3.9 seconds the gap for Hamilton at the moment. Does have the fastest lap now off Sergio Perez as well. So Max Verstappen is still in the lead, but this strategy so far for Mercedes is looking good. But I wasn't too sure what they were doing at one point. But that's just me. I can tell I wouldn't be hired as a strategy man at any of these Formula 1 teams, because what it's done is it allowed Lewis Hamilton to have fresher tyres for the end of the race, and is now catching Max Verstappen as well. And obviously the traffic has helped Lewis compared to Max, but we still know that Red Bull is a really quick car. It's just whether the tyre life is a little bit worse for the Red Bull as we get to the last few laps. And of course, that's what Pete Bonington, Lewis Hamilton's race engineer, said to him. It'll be the last couple of laps that are really important in this race. What I'll do is, if there's anything comes on, I will let you know, but I'll just type in a driver of the day poll. So of course, let me know in terms of your driver of the day. Who do you think is at the moment the driver of the day? Actually quite a difficult thing for me actually to say. I'm not too sure really if I was giving it who would be the driver of the day, as we see how close Valtteri Bottas has now got to the Carlos Sainz Daniel Ricciardo battle. Just trying to see. I mean, to be honest, I'm just trying to think of who I would give for driver of the day, just seeing if there's anybody else I can throw into the mix. But I don't know if anybody's really stood out in this race. I mean, we're 46 laps in. We've only got 10 laps to go. And I'm trying to think of who would be my contention of driver of the day. I think Leclerc's. I suppose I could put Leclerc in the mix, because Leclerc's has done a good job keeping that Ferrari in that position. Hasn't really lost places. I'll put that. To be honest, I will put that down. Of course, let me know otherwise if you think it should be somebody else. If you think it should be somebody else, then of course let me know. But I will put the driver of the day poll out now. Of course, give me your vote. Who do you think is deserving of that driver of the day? But actually, to be honest, I think it is quite a difficult thing to say because we have got 46 laps, but. Yeah, I think it's quite a difficult one really to choose, so let me know, of course. Could have put Carlos Sainz in there actually as well. Ooh, front wings. Yeah, got front wing damage scraping along the floor for Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, so I don't know if that is from the contact with Daniel Ricciardo. Side, yeah. So that may be the battle between Ricciardo and Sainz over if that really is going to affect him going into the twisty sections. Team radio, Verstappen. Yeah, so Verstappen's already asking about the possibility, what's going to happen in terms of the tyre life as we get into the final few stages. And Lewis Hamilton, 2.6 seconds now away from Lewis Hamilton, lap 47 out of 56. We're currently showing live information of Valtteri Bottas chasing Carlos Sainz. I think with that front wing damage, Carlos Sainz might be a bit of a sitting duck for Bottas here. Bottas probably should get that position and get into 6th place. Probably not the best for Bottas. I think that Mercedes would have been hoping he might make up a few more places, but from 9th maybe to 6th isn't too bad, I suppose. But of course, Red Bull are going to be a lot happier in terms of the Constructors' Championship with Perez sitting pretty in 3rd place as well. I think we all talk about Bottas, but I think it will be something to look at next year for George Russell, because Mercedes' car is great, but when it is always when it's in traffic, we do see it's a lot more difficult. Even Lewis Hamilton sometimes finds it quite difficult. Monza was an example this year and last year that sometimes it's difficult for the Mercedes to pass in traffic. So I think when George Russell comes in, obviously a lot of the blame sometimes is because it's Bottas that's driving. He doesn't make that many places. It will be something to look at maybe for next season to see if George Russell has the same thing. Or if he takes that Mercedes by the scruff of its neck and just overtakes as many people as possible. But I think Mercedes' Achilles heel is it still struggles under traffic. But of course, new regulation changes next year is supposed to help overtaking. So we'll see if that is a factor as well. Obviously, we've seen the designs of what the cars will look like next year. I'm not too sure on them yet. They still look a bit weird to me, but obviously we'll see come testing at the beginning of next year. Yeah, so Verstappen will be able to see Lewis Hamilton now in his mirrors. He's still got about 7-8 laps to go, so if you're Max Verstappen, let me know in the comments if you're Max Verstappen here. Do you defend this position for all you've got, or do you think, well, look, let's take the 2nd place, let's take the points, let's go on to the next one? Because I think Hamilton has obviously the less tyre wear, also has the fastest lap, so well, I mean, as Martin Brundle's mentioned, I think the gap would be 13 points if it is what it is now. Or if Hamilton was to win, but 2.1 seconds the gap now. So obviously still not within DRS. Verstappen's done 19 laps on his hard compound tyres. Lewis Hamilton has done 11 laps. So they did do a great extension in terms of their target. So the tyres will be fresh for Lewis Hamilton, but 1.9 seconds. So I don't think you'll get DRS on the main straight for this one. But maybe next year. Maybe next lap. Maybe next year at this race, he'll have that. Talking absolute nonsense. Yeah, so we're on the main straight. It's about 1.9 seconds. Black and white flag for Lance Stroll, track limits. So I think that's 3 times, I think maybe, or 2 times next time you get a penalty. Have a look at the comments. The drive of the day things sort of block the comments, so I'll just have a look on there. Greg's got a bonus for Max is to get the fastest lap. Whatever points he gets for winning the Grand Prix and 1 point to add to the points, that could be a game changer in the Drivers' Championship. I agree, but I think with the way that Lewis is catching Max Verstappen, I think the way that Max is probably just trying to keep hold of this first place. I don't know if he'll be able to get fastest lap now, so I think Hamilton will take this fastest lap unless anybody goes in now for a fresh set of soft compound tyres, just to take that fastest lap away from Hamilton. Who knows? I was going to say whether they gamble that with Bottas. I don't know what the gap is to Norris. I don't think it's enough that he could go into the pits, try and put a set of soft compound tyres, and well, he wouldn't do that actually. That would be Perez would have to do that to try and at least take it away from Mercedes and Hamilton. But I don't think Verstappen's going to get that fastest lap point. Vettel's catching on Giovinazzi. Do you feel George Russell will be a second driver to Lewis, like Bottas was to Lewis? I think for excuse me, I think for the first season at least. We're not sure. Obviously, Hamilton signed a 2-year deal to finish next year, so we don't know how long Lewis. If he wins the championship this year, of course, he's the all-time best driver in Formula One history. So how long would you want to last? In terms of you've already achieved everything you want to. How long will Lewis want to stay in the sport? Obviously, with the regulation changes as well. So I definitely think for next year, he would probably still be in that position that Bottas was this year. But obviously, George Russell is the future. So, it'll only be a matter of time that Hamilton will leave and George Russell will be the number one driver at Mercedes. And obviously, they'll bring somebody else in to be that second driver. There's no doubt about that. George Russell is going to be the future number one driver for Mercedes going forward, but I feel like next year would be very much an integration year for Russell at Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton would still be the main person. So I have no doubt in that. Gaps 1.5 seconds now for Hamilton. Lap 51 out of 56. Sean's gone hammer time. Absolutely, this is the time now for Lewis Hamilton to get that position, get that DRS. Let's see a great battle for the last couple of laps or so. Let's get into that 1 second. To be honest with you, don't care who wins this now. Really don't. I'm not my favourite driver is neither, so I don't really care who wins this race. So I like to see a battle between the pair of them as we go into these final few laps. And Hamilton is closing that gap. I don't think he's going to have DRS going into this lap. 1.8 seconds. No, hasn't got it. That looks like Fernando Alonso is retiring. Both Alpines. Oh. Rear wing has broken. So that'll be the bumps, whether that's a connection between Ocon as well. But they've had an issue, break of the rear wing. Sorry, was it rear wing or front wing, did I just say? But that'll be with the bumps on the racetrack. So, disappointing that both Alpines have retired, but Fernando Alonso wasn't in the points anyway. I think he was up to 12th position, so they weren't going to get any points, so might as well retire with a few laps to go. So sad for Alpine, but that's both drivers out of this race. 11 votes so far for driver of the day. Like I said, please let me know who your thoughts are for driver of the day. Is it Max Verstappen? Is it Lewis Hamilton? Leclerc's had a good race so far as well. Sergio Perez is looking at a podium spot right now, or is it anybody else? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Oh, last lap round, Max Verstappen actually increased his gap between Lewis Hamilton only by a tenth, but that's what Max Verstappen needs to do to make sure he doesn't get DRS. Lewis Hamilton to be able to make a move on him. Issue for Valtteri Bottas, as we cut to him, is that he is very much close to Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz has got DRS to Daniel Ricciardo, so we're back to the old DRS train, where everybody is following each other and they can't make an overtaking manoeuvre because they're all doing exactly the same speed. So Bottas is still in 7th place. Like I said, he's... I don't think Carlos Sainz actually is in DRS now, so it should be that Bottas in the next lap should make that move done. So we'll keep an eye on that one. So Max Verstappen has 19% of the votes for driver of the day. Hamilton only has 17% of the vote. Daniel Ricciardo is 9%. It's not a huge gap for driver of the day. Like I said, this race has sort of gone by and there hasn't really been a standout driver in this race. Nothing... I don't want to say nothing has happened, but Vettel's made the move on Giovinazzi up to 11th place. Kimi Raikkonen is the final driver in the points right now, so that would be a great result for Alfa Romeo. It's only a point, but it's 1 point more than Haas. Ben still is in the Mercedes garage watching on, but again, Max Verstappen puts in a great lap. Again, he's a 10th quicker than Lewis Hamilton. Is it the fact that they're having issues with the dirty air in terms of Mercedes? Yeah, encouragement by his race engineer for Max Verstappen. Just keep this pace up. Hamilton doesn't look like he can get within that DRS window to be able to really make a move. Oh, Valtteri Bottas. Oh, again, Mercedes can't get past. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. Oh, Kimi Raikkonen's gone off. No, I was literally just saying about Kimi Raikkonen that this would be a great result for Kimi Raikkonen. He's gone off at the first... so that's the chicanes, that's the S's in Sector 1. And he's now down to 12th. Oh, he's just spun round. Gone onto the grass and then onto the gravel. Don't know how long he's had them tyres on, but that could be a factor. But yeah, that's Kimi out of the points now. So that means Sebastian Vettel right now is in that last points position. 1.5 seconds with 3 laps to go now. And this is the crucial point, because this is where they said... this is where the race actually counts now. This is where Lewis Hamilton's engineer said it's the last 3 laps that count. So has Lewis Hamilton been actually saving it for the last couple of laps now? 1.5 seconds. Can he get that DRS into the main straight on this racetrack? .4 seconds, 1.3 seconds. It's the crucial bit as to get to the braking zone. 1.2 seconds. I don't think he's going to get DRS on this lap. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get it again. It's 1.2 seconds now for Lewis Hamilton. They're very close with a couple of laps to go, but he hasn't got DRS in this on this lap. Greg's gone, do you think Michael Schumacher is the greatest driver of all time? I think if Lewis Hamilton breaks the record, he, of course, in terms of the record books, is the greatest driver of all time. So, of course, you have to count him as that. I still feel like both of them have been great drivers of their eras, and of course, you have them. You have different, great drivers of each era, and of course, both of them have been, that of their own. I think you'd have to say Lewis Hamilton. I think if he beats it, you have to say Lewis Hamilton is the best driver that's, been in terms of Formula 1. Of course, you could say other drivers may not have won as many championships, but you feel they're better. And of course, I could be one of them. I feel like there've been better drivers that maybe haven't won as many championships as Lewis Hamilton. But, in terms of the record books, you have to say Lewis Hamilton would be deserving of being the best driver in Formula 1 history. There's no doubt. Oh, Greg, do I even want to say that? I don't think I want to say that because I don't want to jinx it for Max Verstappen. He's under a second now. He's under a second. I'm not saying it, Greg, because it might jinx it. .1 second now. Is he going to get DRS as we get into this? 1.3 seconds. Again, I don't think he's going to get DRS on this main straight. No, I don't think he is. 1.3 seconds. He's not going to have DRS again. He'll only have 1 lap. Oh, this Mercedes, I think, is struggling in traffic. I think it's struggling with the airflow of the Red Bull in front. 1.5 seconds now. Hamilton's lost a bit of time. Michael Schumacher then is in the way. Mick Schumacher's in the way here a bit with traffic, but he's 16th place. He'll probably get out of the way easy. Oh, Mick Schumacher may have held Max Verstappen up a little bit. So Max Verstappen actually gets DRS from Mick Schumacher, so actually that might be a little bit of a blessing, but we're on the final lap. Hamilton is under a second. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton didn't have DRS for Max Verstappen, but Max Verstappen did have DRS from Mick Schumacher being the back marker. So as much as Verstappen was complaining about Schumacher ahead not getting out of the way, he actually helped, I think, with the DRS. So he's under a second now in the S's, but again, I think as we get out of the S's, and puts the foot down. Lewis Hamilton again is not going to have DRS. Nope, he's not going to have it. He's not going to have it. Bottas has overtaken Carlos Sainz for 6th position now, while we have this battle between Verstappen and Hamilton. But I don't think it's going to come to anything. I think Greg's absolutely right. We're on the final lap now. Hamilton has not had DRS. He's not been able to get into that DRS zone. Nope, I don't think he won't be able to make a move now. He's not close enough. This is Max Verstappen, unless anything happens now in the final sector. This is Max Verstappen's win. He's under a second now, but it makes no difference whatsoever, because this is it now. This is it. He's on the last lap. Final couple of corners to go. This is it. Great victory for Max Verstappen. He's coming around the final turn now. There we go. Red Bull's first win on US soil. This is Max Verstappen's win. The cheer from the crowd. Max Verstappen takes the victory. I think Lewis Hamilton was under a second as they crossed the line. So Max Verstappen is in first. Lewis Hamilton will be second. I think it'll just wait now for obviously Sergio Perez and the likes to cross the line as well. But great job from Max Verstappen in the end. Managing to keep him behind, but again, I think it was the Mercedes struggling with the airflow from the car in front. That's 13 points now. If I'm right, that's 13 points Max Verstappen leads going into the next race. It's Christian getting on the radio going, get in there, Max, says Greg. Yeah, great result actually for Max Verstappen. I mean, fair dues. I thought with a few laps to go that would be Hamilton to chase it, but didn't get within a second when it counted on that main straight. So Max Verstappen gets the driver of the day vote for them. I'm going to see in terms of our driver of the day for us as well. But Max Verstappen wins the race. Lewis Hamilton second. Sergio Perez third. So it's a double podium for Red Bull. Great result for Sergio Perez to maintain that and to be in third place. Great result from Charles Leclerc as well. Very quiet race from Charles Leclerc, but manages to stay in fourth place for Ferrari. So yeah, huge job for them and great for the points for Ferrari. Daniel Ricciardo is in fifth as well. So again, the battle between Ferrari and McLaren is really heating up as well. We've got Valtteri Bottas managing to make his way up to sixth as well. So maybe not as good as Mercedes would want to, but considering he started ninth and threw another engine penalty at him, pretty good job, I feel, for Valtteri Bottas. Let me have a look. Who have we got? Carlos Sainz next in 7th place. Lando Norris 8th. Yuki Tsunoda 9th. A great comment there. I'm so happy that Tsunoda finally beat Gasly once. Yeah, I mean, obviously Gasly had that suspension issue. We saw him retire from the race, but great for Yuki Tsunoda to actually get some points in this race. Sebastian Vettel finishes off the points positions in 10th place. And then you've got Giovinazzi, Lance Stroll, Kimi Raikkonen, who was in the points for the final few laps, but then has that issue in the first sector where he spun after the couple of S's. I don't know if it's a tyre wear issue or what, but went onto the grass and gravel and lost that final points position. George Russell 14th, Nicholas Latifi 15th. I think that's literally just Williams' pace on this circuit this weekend. Mick Schumacher 16th, Nikita Mazepin is 17th. And we saw Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, both Alpines, out the race, as well as Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen wins, and I think he's 13 points ahead in the Drivers' Championship now. So a great margin, really, with only a few more races to go to have that gap. Lewis Hamilton second, team radio. Toto Wolff telling Lewis Hamilton, even though it's a second place, it's a great result. Obviously, Lewis will be disappointed that he doesn't get the win there. And of course, Max Verstappen does extend in terms of the Drivers' Championship. But if you don't finish first, you have to get the other maximum points you can. And I think Lewis Hamilton did get the fastest lap in the end. So, yeah, important that, gets that second place. I think you wouldn't want to, like I said at the beginning of this, if the fact that both of them crashed out doesn't help either of them, because if you have a retirement, if you have an issue in the next couple of races, that's not going to help. So actually, the best thing that these two drivers can do is try and finish in these races. Even if it's second place for Lewis Hamilton, it's still points. Max Verstappen might have a retirement in the next race. You might win the race. It's that close. 13 points is a lot, and it's a bigger gap than we've had over the last few races or so. But all it takes is Max Verstappen to have a retirement or to have an incident or reliability issue, and Lewis Hamilton is back in the lead of the championship. It's that close. So if you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, don't be too concerned, because anything can happen still in this Formula One World Championship. And normally by now, the season's finished. The season's done. We're just literally just ticking off the end of the races, but we've still got driver championship to sort out. We've still got the constructors to sort out as well. Not just Mercedes and Red Bull, but Ferrari and McLaren as well. So yeah, as much as this race hasn't been hugely exciting, and obviously thank you so much for everybody who's joined us here on the Let's Talk Sport race watch along here, but there's still a lot more to go in this championship season. Max got driver of the day, yep. Do you think Lewis will be disappointed not to chase down Max? Yeah, look, I think Mercedes had a great strategy in the end. I think, to close that gap on Red Bull. They'll be disappointed that they couldn't make that manoeuvre done, but for some reason, again, I think it just shows that Mercedes' car isn't great in the dirty air, isn't great in the traffic. Bottas struggled, and Lewis Hamilton did when he got close to Max Verstappen. Couldn't get that DRS when it mattered on the main straight. Just wasn't close enough every time. As soon as they were close enough in the first sector, but as they got to the second sector and down to the main straight, just wasn't close enough. And that's something that's always been an issue with Mercedes. And Red Bull just looked stronger at that point. So, of course, they'll be disappointed. But like I said, I think just get the points if you're Lewis Hamilton at this stage. All of them look really hot and bothered after that race, but you would be. Yeah, maybe not the most entertaining races, and like I said, the fact that people have, if you've stayed with me on this stream, obviously, like I said, thank you very much, for that. But I think overall, in terms of the actual championship, I think it's only hotting up, and the fact that if it was Mercedes and it was the other way around, and maybe Mercedes were in the lead by that 13 points, with the fact that they've had experience of being in this battle and winning, consecutively year on year over the last few years or so, you maybe think, okay, Mercedes are hopefully are going to run away with it now. But I think the fact that the Red Bull, who are really desperate to win this championship last year with Honda, they really want to win this. Max Verstappen, of course, wants to win his first as well. This is pressure now on Mercedes, the pressure on the experienced team. And we all know that Red Bull, of course, have had experience when Vettel won it 4 times in a row as well. But the fact that Mercedes have been so dominant in this era, I think it puts pressure on them now. Let's see what they can do in these final few races. Jos Verstappen, they're very happy. And I think even more happier with the fact that Verstappen defended well to get that victory. 18 wins now, Max Verstappen has. I'll just listen to the driver info, see if there's any points to pick up on. I think Red Bull in 2022 be like Kvyat and Tsunoda. Kvyat was actually here this race weekend, so yeah. Is he with Alpine? He did some driver testing the other day as well. Pirelli tyre testing for Alpine. Did Daniel Kvyat as well, so. I think there's a Jamie. I know you just put a comment on, but I think there's. I'm getting. I can hear Checo chants while Lewis Hamilton's speaking. Don't know if that's because Checo's come back out, but he's getting a great reception. Of course, Mexican Grand Prix as well coming up soon as well. Lewis Hamilton gets a great standing ovation. Does look disappointed, of course. When you don't win the race, and of course he loves the Americas, loves the American circuit. It is Sergio Perez is getting Checo chance. I love it. I love it. Great job from Sergio Perez. I know Jamie's just popped on the chat and he'll think I'm just saying it because he's just turned on, but great result. I mean, bit of a lonely race for him, but ultimately that's where Red Bull won him. That's what Bottas normally does so well. He's in the right place at the right time, and Sergio Perez does a great job for them in terms of their points for the constructors. That's what Jenson Button's saying as well. Great points for the team. I think the fact that he did so well in qualifying yesterday, great lap, almost got pole position to be honest. Loads of Mexican fags, I love it. That'll really annoy Donald Trump. Loads of Mexican fans there. It's great to see. Great job from Sergio Perez, that's for sure. I'm getting just like loads of football chants coming on now. Greg's out in Super Max. Then I've got Jamie putting Checo. Max comes out for a great applause as well. Great job for Max Verstappen. I'll end the drive of the day poll actually as well now. So I'll end it just after. I'll give it about a minute or so. So if anybody hasn't got their drive of the day votes in, get them in now, and I'll end the vote. Obviously, Max Verstappen got it for the actual F1 as well. 22% of the vote, I think, as well. So of course, let me know in terms of your drive of the day if it was anybody different as well. But so Hamilton's on 275.5 points. Verstappen's on 287.5 points. It is great to see so many American fans actually there, to be honest, because back in the day, I didn't know what Formula One was, and of course, there are sports in America that I maybe don't have knowledge of. NASCAR I don't watch too much. IndyCar I've watched a little bit this season, but of course it's great to have Formula One getting into the American market, and of course Liberty Media have only helped with that. So great result I think for them, and have absolutely no idea what's going on here. Is that Shaquille O'Neal bringing in the trophy? I don't know what he's driving. Like, that was as wide as Carlos Sainz has been today, battling Daniel Ricciardo, that car. Great job from Carlos Sainz, to be honest, but there was a lot of drivers using the width of their Formula One car, a bit like that car, to be honest, but it looks more like a boat. It looks like something you'd see at Disneyland, on one of them, like, carnival floats. Is he going to make it under the garage door? He's had to duck. Wow. But yeah, so I'll just go through the trophy ceremonies. Oh, like I said, I'll end the driver of the day vote. We'll just go through the driver ceremonies, and of course, I'll wrap up then. Maybe not the most entertaining of races overall. Max Verstappen gets 54% of our driver of the day vote. Lewis Hamilton with 30. Leclerc and Perez both get 7 each. I think special deserve goes to Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. I think both of them overall did a fairly good job, considering we didn't really see much of them in the race, but they were there, got the points for both of their teams. Perez of course only helps with that, but Do you feel if Max wins in Mexico, then he will definitely win the championship? I mean, Max Verstappen has been dominant in Mexico. Red Bull love the Mexican circuit. I think Sergio Perez, of course, will want to win the Mexican Grand Prix, but Verstappen has been, Verstappen and Red Bull have been so good at that Mexican circuit over the last few years. So I think it's definitely in their favour to win that race. And I think, of course, that only helps then to be that next step closer to winning the championship. But don't discount Lewis Hamilton just yet, and Mercedes they'll give it everything to perform at their best for that circuit. But I would give the sort of the favour more in terms of Red Bull, going into the circuit at Mexico and Mexico City. So look out for that one, of course. But to be honest, Jack, I have an interest in watching the Indy 500. I do watch the Indy 500. I try and watch it, but the coverage, just constant adverts, man. Just constant adverts. I just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? Even the adverts are sponsored by an advert. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Checo's family giving him a celebration. That's great to see. If Sergio Perez, obviously Mexico would be the main one, but I think having the celebrations and the amount of Mexican fans they hear at the US Grand Prix as well, I think Perez will be happy to be on the podium there. Great result for Max Verstappen. A lot of Lewis going on now. Hey, no, Lewis has been a great race for Lewis, and of course this battle. We want this battle, like Jamie said, we want this battle to go to the final race of the season. No doubt about that. This is a battle for the age, and the only concern I have is that we always have these great battles before we go into a regulation change. And the worry is, of course, we go into a new regulation change and we see another team dominate for 4 years. Red Bull could dominate. Ferrari could dominate for another few years. That's the concern I have. We always have a great season before we go into a new change. Hopefully that's not the case. And obviously the regulation is to help in terms of overtaking and better racing. But every time we do a change, it only does the opposite effect. So if we could have another championship battle like this next season, I'm all for it. This has been a great battle this year, and we've seen some sour moments. We've seen some really close battles, incidents. Obviously red flags galore. And I think it has been a great season overall. I love Checo's dad. He's celebrated like Sergio Perez has won the race, but. Yeah, great to see. Like I said, shout out to Charles Leclerc as well. I think he did a really good job. Ferrari obviously needed them in terms of the points, double point scorers. McLaren were as well, but Norris wasn't as high as the two Ferraris. So obviously Ferrari score better this weekend as well. So. I swear the national anthem songs get longer and longer. God, Shaquille O'Neal's almost as tall as Max Verstappen on the top step of the podium. Good God. Mexico's next, and then Brazil as well. So, we're very much in the Americas now. So, it's obviously great to be back in this area of the calendar. Obviously, we didn't have it last year. It was very much a European-based circuit, or European-based calendar. So, Mexico next, and then Brazil. Get a standing ovation for Sergio Perez. Great to see. Right, so Mexico, Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi. We don't know about Qatar. We don't know about Saudi Arabia. We know Abu Dhabi's a bit boring. So Brazil and Mexico normally have a bit of spice to them. Abu Dhabi's normally a bit boring. Like I said, we don't know the bit in the middle between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. But yeah, that is an interesting 5 races to go now. Am I a fan of Lewis? I'm not a fan of Lewis. But I'm not a huge Lewis Hamilton fan. I respect Lewis Hamilton. He's one of the best British sportsmen that we've ever had. One of the best drivers in Formula One history. If he gets that 8th world title, he's the best driver to grace Formula One. But he's not my favourite driver. Max Verstappen isn't either. It's do love a bit of George Russell, the McLaren boys. Being a McLaren fan, that's obviously the thing. But so yeah, there's the podium races. They're going to go off and do like highlights and interviews now. But I think we sort of should wrap it up here now as we get to 10 o'clock UK time. So yeah, thank you very much. Obviously everybody for joining me on this Let's Talk Sport race watch along for the United States Grand Prix. I hope you obviously enjoyed it, and obviously we're going to Mexico next. Thank you all for joining me in terms of putting your notes in the comments as well, and adding to the drive of the day polls as well. Max Verstappen now leads the championship as we go into the next race at Mexico, when Red Bull and Verstappen have also been strong in the past. Don't forget to join us for future race watch-alongs and, of course, other watch-alongs that we have on the Let's Talk Sport YouTube channel. And don't forget that offer for Manscaped. Use the code Let's Talk Sport, all in capital letters, for 20% off on your order. And free shipping as well. What more could you want? Thank you very much for watching and for joining us. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, everybody, for joining and tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. See you soon.